Welcome to the Film Trooper podcast with your host, Scott McMahon.
Hi, and welcome to the Film Trooper podcast, Filmmaking Freedom for the Independent. This episode is sponsored by the book, How to Make and Sell Your Film Online and Survive the Hollywood Implosion While Doing It. It's available in paperback, as a Kindle ebook, as well as an audiobook. In fact, you can get the audiobook for free when you go to survivetheimplosion.com and sign up with Audible for the first 30 days. Again, that's at survivetheimplosion.com. In today's episode, I interview the COO, the Chief Operating Officer over at dotstudiopro.com. Her name is Phoenix Gonzalez. And I was introduced to her by Jenna Edwards. And if you remember Jenna, she was in episode 114 of the Film Trooper podcast. And interesting enough, total randomness, but in the same week, I also run this Facebook group. You might be part of it. It's called Indie Film Marketing for Self-Distribution. And one of the members of that Facebook group, John Fallon, is a fellow podcaster himself. And he runs the podcast, the Indie Film NYC for New York City podcast. And in his episode number 10, he interviewed Selena Pascalidis, the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, I believe, over at Dot Studio Pro. And so he shared that with us on the Facebook group, the Indie Film Marketing for Self-Distribution. And he was asking my opinion. Have you heard about this group? They also have this contest going on. And so I took some time to listen to the episode and do some more research, but I still didn't quite understand what service or benefit that Dot Studio Pro offered. So I was able to contact and have Phoenix Gonzalez, again, the COO of Dot Studio Pro, on this show, on this episode. And you'll hear in the episode, I catch her when she's in transit. She's a passenger in the car, but they're running to do some more work on the competition that they're in the middle of for My Spotlight TV. And you'll hear more about what that is in this episode. Because this is about filmmaking freedom for the independent, and the idea is that any one of us can make content and put it up online and use online marketing tactics and strategies to help sell our product, I wanted to see where Dot Studio Pro fit in and see if this couldn't be something that you could look down the line as a good partner in terms of your whole business plan. I have not used them. This is completely exploring what they do and kind of figure out how does it fit into the whole structure of things as we push forward, and maybe not working with a company like Netflix or Amazon and things like that, or not having a formal distribution company. Where does this all fit in? So I hope you get a lot of value out of it, and maybe take some time to explore what Dot Studio Pro is doing and what they're about to do, and keep an eye on them, because they may be a player that could be a major factor in how you're designing your distribution and marketing plans moving forward. So without further ado, here's my guest, Phoenix Gonzalez, here on the Film Trooper podcast.
Yeah, so first let me just kind of give you a little backstory, and thank you for having us on today. So Dot Studio Pro was founded by an editor who owned his own post-production company. We also ended up owning a production company, and then a producer who was producing low-budget indie features out of Canada. So we, as independents ourselves, saw the need for digital distribution because we got involved in YouTube competitions, and we got involved in all these different different types of competitions, where we just quickly realized that independent filmmakers who had premium content and were investing in premium content had no ability to truly monetize that content. So that's why we built the platform, because as indies ourselves, we felt like we needed the ability to be able to take control of our IP and monetize our content ourselves. So Dot Studio Pro was founded for independent filmmakers to start. But as any business getting started, we had to keep our doors open. So we started as a service company. So we ended up servicing enterprise customers on the broadcast side out of Canada, actually. And in learning from broadcasters in 2009 and 10, we were able to really identify what, based on the tools we thought we would need, what the tools they needed. It was a marriage between broadcasters and filmmakers, understanding what the evolution of, monetization online was going to be. And then in 2013, after 2.5 years of, being able to, really finesse the technology, we ended up getting an investor who came in and said, I really love what you guys are doing. You're empowering the independents, and you're also servicing, that middle tier of enterprise customers, let's give you the money to be able to rebuild the platform so that anyone can sign up for it. So we closed our doors at the end of 2013 and became a startup. So first we were a service company as filmmakers learning about technology, and then we decided, okay, we're going to build this for our peers. So in late 2014, we launched the beta. And we focused primarily from 2014 through, or end of 2014 through all of 2015 on filmmakers, because that was our true passion to start. So we worked with a ton of independent filmmakers, getting their project launched and being able to, really learn from the data and learn how they were marketing themselves and how we were using the social tools that our platform provided, how a filmmaker could take command of technology and their IP and really own their properties and still be able to go out and distribute to other places. And then from there, in 2016, we went out and started working with enterprise customers, because we also identified that enterprise customers who have eyeballs and large audiences not only need our technology to deliver to their customers, but they also need good content. So we became a marketplace where filmmakers can unite with networks that are using our technology, and in platform, filmmakers can do syndication deals, and they can get their content in front of a larger audience beyond the work they're doing on their own.
I see.
Does that make sense?
I think so. So if from a standpoint of like a independent filmmaker, they have one piece of content. Maybe they have a web series, maybe they have a feature film, maybe they have a short or a couple shorts. They would sign up with Studio Pro. And it looks like on the site, there's certain devices that you work in conjunction with: Apple TV, Roku, mobile, live, WordPress, and Facebook. The concept here is the teaching that that's been given down to a lot of independent filmmakers is that, okay, do you work a distribution deal? Like if you work with a distributor, and that distributor says to this independent filmmaker, all right, well, we're not going to put it into theaters, but we'll put it onto, iTunes, we'll put it onto Amazon, we'll put it onto Google Play. There's that fine line between, like, that's what the distributor says, but then there's the concept, or there's the understanding, there's also all these aggregation companies that an independent filmmaker or producer can pay a flat fee, a service fee, to have all their content put up on those or submitted to those particular platforms. Now, where does Studio Pro come in? Is it more or less like, does Studio Pro, does it become an aggregator, or is it only just like a technical interface that allows you a independent producer to see all their stats and their information? Like it's like a hub, like an interface hub that goes out to all the different platforms they might be wanting to put onto, but they would still have to individually submit or work with an aggregator to get onto those particular platforms.
Right. So let me kind of walk you through the life of a filmmaker on our platform. And maybe if I give you a use case, or a case study, maybe that'll help filmmakers understand. So Studio Pro is your battleship for you to be able to, I call it battleship, I call it your film battleship. It's your dashboard to be able to deliver your content direct to your consumer. But we truly believe as filmmakers, as who have built this platform, your content needs to be everywhere. So you still need to work with distributors. If you want to work with distributors, you still have to work with aggregators. So let me give you a couple ideas. So we have a filmmaker who came to the platform. He was releasing it as a DVD on Amazon. And at the same time that he was releasing it as a DVD on Amazon, he decided 3 weeks after the release on Amazon, I'm going to release it on iTunes with an aggregator. So he did Amazon on his own with DVD. He did iTunes with an aggregator. Then he said, the thing that bothers me the most about releasing on all these platforms is that they own my audience and I'm now doing marketing towards them. So I want to be able to take my film list, my email list, and outside of it being on iTunes and available on DVD, he's like, I want to be able to drive my audience back to me, because at the end of the day, I'm building my business. So he's like, I will work with a distributor, I will work with an aggregator, but I will also work for myself as well. So he released it through Studio Pro on his website. And so at the same time that he had it living with an aggregator on iTunes, he worked with the distributor, did the Amazon DVDs, and then released it on his website. All of his marketing dollars went back to his website, and then he also launched it on Facebook through Studio Pro as well. So for him, what he saw was, I need to be able to control my audience, collect my audience information, and be able to truly, at the end of the day, build a business out of my content. So, and that's what he did. He actually saw a 10%, like a 10% conversion rate on his actual, all of his marketing. He saw that come back to his website, and from his website, he also let people know, if you don't want to buy it on my website, you can always buy it on iTunes, or you can buy the DVD. So, I mean, I hope that kind of gives you an idea of, like, as a filmmaker, we truly believe you have to be everywhere. But in order to be everywhere, the first place that you should be spending your marketing dollars is on you. You shouldn't be spending it on iTunes. You shouldn't be spending it on Netflix. You shouldn't be spending it on Hulu or any of these other platforms. They're going to do their own marketing. But you want to be able to build a repeat customer base, because that's your actual film business that you're building for yourself. So Studio Pro, on one hand, became his that was his hub where his content lived for him to do his marketing. And from that dashboard, he had it live inside of Facebook and his website. And then after he launched it through Studio Pro with that, he ended up getting picked up for distribution worldwide with Paramount. So he'd already released it online digitally, and then Paramount picked him up for worldwide distribution. What he did with Paramount is he said, I want to retain my technical IP, which is my website, so I can continue to sell. And I can continue to sell anywhere that my video player lives. So what Studio Pro did as the next step is Studio Pro then gave him the ability to syndicate to some of the partners who were also using our technology, that he can now have his content live on their websites and on their applications, but in essence, it's still his player. So he's not infringing on his actual distribution agreement. Make sense? I
think so. So the pros or the pros going with like a Studio Pro as opposed to an independent filmmaker paying an aggregator to get onto iTunes and also or going directly to like Amazon Video Direct now, or using CreateSpace to sell their DVD, or putting it onto now Amazon video online so that they could sell that way. If they built their own website and they had like an email sign up, and then if they built their own Facebook page with the same, and taking like a MailChimp or plug-in that puts it into Facebook that allows them to collect emails and promote their content. Where the pros that I'm hearing with Studio Pro is that, do you automate this system a little easier for a less tech savvy independent filmmakers that don't know how to build their own website with email sign up?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. So yes. So
okay.
A creator comes to Studio Pro, they upload their content, they put in their metadata, they set their pricing. They also have the ability to serve advertising versus setting a paywall. They also have the ability to do pre-sale versus video on demand. So they set all that information. They also have the ability to do geo-blocking if they need to do geo-blocking, so that they can stay within their distribution rights if they have distributors working with them in certain territories or blocked. And then from there, the next step is that they have the ability to go to our channel section, and they can create a channel, which in essence is a microsite. So instead of going out and building a full-blown website, if you don't want to build a website, you can actually launch a microsite channel that is live online, so that you can drive your audience to it. That microsite channel also, with 2 clicks of a button from that section, you can launch it. If you have an existing Facebook fan page, you're the admin of it, you also can launch that content directly inside of Facebook.
I see.
A custom tab in Facebook, where the same content that lives as a microsite online can also live inside of Facebook. And then within that page, there's lots of little things that you can do. Like you can, we have a couple of custom tabs. So, a lot of our filmmakers work with us, and we'll do customizations on those pages. So they can add things like widgets for capturing email information. We also, as soon as the user makes a purchase, you're actually collecting that user's email. If they sign in through Facebook to make the purchase versus email, you're collecting their Facebook information, and that's all going back into the dashboard that you launched that content from. So it's an exportable Excel where you have all of your customer purchases, the contact information, and if they logged in through Facebook, you have Facebook information for them as well.
Oh, interesting. Nice. And all the other benefit, the other pro would be that you've built this sort of network already, since you're already partnering with, like you said, you had to pay the bills by working with like sometimes the enterprise level, like, or mid-level enterprise, which has like multiple content. And so I could see like from that standpoint where they use like an interface like yours, like Dot Studio Pro, to just have better management of just the like number of titles they have to deal with. And if I'm guessing correctly, an independent coming into Dot Studio Pro and they're doing well on their own, or they're getting buzz, like you said, they could be introduced or be put onto some of these other networks. So you've created like a marketplace that has could be like a farm league to like the bigger leagues and things like that, if I understand correctly.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at it, you have to be everywhere. So you're still going to want your aggregator. You're still going to want your distributor in some cases, unless you don't even want to go that route. But you also then can use Dot Studio Pro. And Dot Studio Pro can live in your website. It can be its own microsite. It can live inside of your Facebook fan page. You can also syndicate to network partners within the platform who have apps and channels on iOS, Roku, Apple TV, and Android. And you're still in control of your asset. So while you have all these what we call consignment models, like the Netflixes and the Amazon and all of those places, where you're hoping that you get reporting and you're making whatever money you make with them, you also have your Dot Studio Pro dashboard where you can expand that reach through network partners, into your Facebook, into your website. And the one other cool thing I didn't talk about was that same microsite channel that can live online or can go inside of your website can also go inside of Facebook. If you have other partners who want to take a designed version of that microsite channel, you can actually create additional channels, put the movie inside of there for, let's say, you have an online publisher who wants to promote the movie and wants their own environment. Or you have a cast member who's like, look, I have my own audience and I want to keep my authentic voice with my audience. You can create a microsite channel for that partner as well and give that to them, and they can market directly to their consumer in a branded environment that represents them, but still connected to your dashboard. We really, as filmmakers ourselves, thought really hard about the fact that it's not just about launching a movie, but it's about marketing it and making sure that you can engage as many partners as you can and arm them with tools that are connected to you that you can track so that you have the best fighting chance.
I see. So if, just, out of curiosity, what is the, so if somebody's working with an aggregator and they get it on iTunes, so they, and this is assuming they're not working with a distribution company, and they pay a flat fee to the aggregator, they get 70%, revenue and whatever, like iTunes 630. And if they're utilizing the Dot Studio Pro, does Dot Studio Pro also take a percentage of the iTunes sales, or only if it comes through the dashboard? Okay.
Yeah, anything that comes to the dashboard. So if you have a deal with iTunes, that has nothing to do with us.
Okay.
Whatever revenue share you have with iTunes in your aggregator, great. But with Dot Studio Pro, it's literally a 50-cent transaction fee. So whether you're selling your film for $1.99 or $14.99 or $29.99, we take 0.50 cents. So at the end of the day, that's the cost of doing business. There's no cost for the dashboard as a filmmaker. It's a complete rev share. On the other side of that, if a filmmaker wants to now turn their movie on for ad serving because they've exhausted the lifespan of video on demand with their content, they now have a 70-30 rev share with us on ad serving. And that's, again, where we differ from like the Vimeos, of the world, because we truly believe content should have a long lifespan. It should not just be stuck in the VOD world, because after you've done your marketing and people have seen it and the people who are willing to buy it have bought it, if you want to now flip the switch and say, well, now I want to deliver it ad supported, it's an hour-long movie and I want to be able to put an ad like television every 15 to 20 minutes,
Hold on.
then you have the ability to be able to now turn it to ad supported and do a 70-30 rev share with that.
I see. And what kind of ads are that? Because I understand, like with YouTube, they stick their own ads on there and calculate it from there. But in the world of Dot Studio Pro, in the channels that you guys offer, what sort of ads then pop up?
Yeah. So we work with programmatic ad exchanges. So let me explain ad serving, because a lot of content creators have no idea what ad serving is and how it works. So it's somewhat related to the content. So when you put your metadata in against your videos, that's information that automatically gets passed back to advertisers in real time so that they can identify what kind of content it is, and so that they know if that's something they want to bid against and ad against, because everything happens in real time. The other thing that happens is, as soon as I come to your movie and I click on your movie to watch it, there are cookies in my computer that are collected through when I go shopping. So if you're shopping with Toyota, if you're shopping with Best Buy, whatever you're shopping, cookies are being dropped in your computer. So that information, along with the video metadata, gets sent back in real time to the advertiser, and then the advertisers are bidding in real time against the end user's eyeballs. So that's how advertising gets served. So it's not like, oh, I don't want certain things against my content. Totally understand. But in the programmatic ad world, it's all based on the end user. It's going to be, you know how when you're searching online, you see advertisements that pop up and you're like, how do they know that I was just looking at Toyota? It's retargeting.
Right.
So the advertising is always going to be based on the end user preferences and the metadata that's being passed back by your video. So that's how the relevant and appropriate ad is going to be delivered.
So how do you guys go about the curation, or do you accept, is a free-for-all, you accept anybody come on, but how do you guys maintain so that the if somebody's stopping by Dot Studio Pro and they look at the content that is being released, is there a filter or a like accepting like a quality? Because
So yeah, let's talk to you about that. So Dot Studio Pro is a technology. So my spotlight is the independent version of Netflix. We as content creators who built technology saw that as individual creators, not only do our creators need syndication opportunities, but they also needed a platform where they could be represented in a Netflix-like environment so that they could market their content to their end consumers beyond it being on other people's networks. So we created My Spotlight, and My Spotlight is aggregated all of the content that is in Dot Studio Pro that is premium and has presented it in that environment. And that's the environment that our creative community lives in beyond our syndication deals. So when it comes to curation of content, we believe in premium content. So anybody generally who comes to Dot Studio Pro has found us through social means or has heard about us through another filmmaker. So we generally are seeing web series, shorts, feature films, TV, episodic. We're seeing like actual premium content. We're not seeing, and even with the YouTubers that are coming to the platform, we're actually seeing premium YouTubers like Black Box TV. They do a lot of like awesome work with like Newform Digital and Vimeo and Legendary Pictures, Epic Mealtime. Like we're seeing like really awesome creators who are creating high value content as opposed to the cat chasing dog videos.
I see.
Makes sense?
So yeah, so My Spotlight TV, but like, so did I understand correctly that it's not everyone? I mean, it's like it's only the best of the best.
It's basically, so like we have a lot of content creators who approach us and are like, I want to launch my content on my website and I want to launch it in Facebook and I want to have partners and I also want to do syndication. We're like, okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, and then what's My Spotlight? Because we always let everyone know about My Spotlight. So they make a choice if they want to be on My Spotlight, just like if they want to be on a syndication platform.
Mm-hmm.
And what we look at is making sure that their content meets the criteria of premium independent produced content. So there is some stuff on the Dot Studio Pro network that doesn't make sense for My Spotlight, but makes sense for someone else in another network. So My Spotlight is kind of reserved for that premium creator who the rights are reverted on the movies that they've made, or they have the ability to do distribution on their own. We're looking at things that are actual, like visual storytelling. We're looking at content that actually has like a true story behind it that can really represent the independent community.
Right. Because I saw, like you said, there's like someone who's built an audience on YouTube. I'm assuming they have millions and millions of views on what they're doing. I could see where maybe they wanted to expand outside of just the ad revenue and put it onto like My Spotlight TV, and perhaps get a little bit more direct sales as opposed to just waiting for Google and YouTube to disseminate the low paying ad revenue sometimes.
Yeah, the pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
So let me talk to you a little bit about like YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo. A lot of these platforms, they are the top of not even Vimeo. Let's talk about Facebook and YouTube, because a lot of creators are putting their content, have been putting their content on Facebook and YouTube. Those are the top of your sales funnel. Those are socially where you capture audience, because they're large search engines and large platforms with audience. So you always want to do your marketing inside of those platforms and put up your content where people can discover it. But how do you convert that audience now, and where are you converting that audience? You need to be able to convert that audience to your owned and operated, which is your .studio, your owned and operated, which is us giving you .studio Pro. You're able to now have your content live in all the places that you want it to live, where you're able to monetize it. So you have to use YouTube to put up snippet marketing videos, your trailers. You can use YouTube cards to be able to drive your audience back to watch more of you, where you're monetizing them beyond YouTube, because YouTube's recommendation engine, after somebody watches your trailer, they're going to be recommended something else. So while somebody's watching your trailer, you want to make sure you have a YouTube card, or you have annotations that are telling people, hey, go check out the movie here. Facebook, we created an integration with Facebook because a lot of your creators' time is spent inside of platforms like Facebook, where their audience is communicating with them. And to drive your audience out of Facebook, you want to be able to drive them into places that you are actually controlling your revenue. Because at the end of the day, you're not really making that much money with YouTube, and you're not making any money with Facebook. But they are an integral part of your marketing strategy. They are the top of your sales funnel. And you always have to look at, how am I converting the top of my sales funnel? As a filmmaker who now has to take on marketing and figuring out my revenue, how am I using all of the social platforms to drive awareness and tell the story that drives people back to me, where I can capture their information and they can support me?
I see. Okay. And now there's this contest that this is like in the middle of it, or it's near the end of it. So what was the design of that? Yeah. What was the purpose of that and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so the thing about My Spotlight is we built it as a platform to represent premium creators who didn't have enough content to be on their own applications like iOS, Roku, Android, and Apple TV. That was the start before we even got to network partners. We built My Spotlight first. We aggregated all the creators of premium content, and we said to them, look, this is your version of Netflix for you to promote your content. And the difference between us and Netflix is that you are in control of your content. You have a dashboard where you're collecting all your customer purchases from My Spotlight. You're collecting all of your video views, and you know how well your audience is supporting you. Even though it's in the My Spotlight platform, it's still 100% connected to each creator. So they get detailed reporting. Platforms like Netflix aren't going to give you reporting. They're not even going to let you know who the customers are who are making the purchase. So what we said was, we looked at everything. We were like, imagine if Netflix and YouTube had a baby, because creators like YouTube for marketing, creators like Netflix for the premium environment that people can access it everywhere, and it's becoming it is a brand. So we said, imagine if Netflix and YouTube had a baby. That would be My Spotlight. My Spotlight is the best of both worlds. You're tracking your customers, you're tracking your performance, and you're in a Netflix-like environment where you can be represented across platforms and devices. So the competition was born out of the idea that, okay, we've got this amazing content, we have to continue to keep building brand awareness, and we have to keep building brand awareness for each and every creator. So if we're going to build brand awareness for each and every creator, it's a big job. So if we do it all under the roof of My Spotlight, then we're giving everybody the ability to gain brand recognition. So as opposed to us doing a film competition where, it's our website, and we're collecting all the information. My Spotlight is allowing each creator who is in the competition to, from their dashboard, track their audience, track the revenue that's being made off of the ads that are being delivered in front of their content, or track the sales that are happening off of their content. There is no other competition like this out there. My Spotlight is represented on all of the premium platforms that users or end users can discover them on. And the creators themselves not only are just getting the recognition of their film, they're actually monetizing while they're in the competition. So there is cash prizes for for 2 creators, one in the AVOD, which is ad-supported category, and one in the video on demand category. But each and every creator who's working and collaborating together in this competition is actually generating revenue off of the views of their content. So fans aren't only supporting them by watching their content to help them win money, but fans are also supporting them by helping them build a business organically, and people don't even realize it. That's the cool thing about my Spotlight. It's actually teaching people about, because we're working with them on marketing and social media and promotion. We're promoting alongside them, and they're monetizing beyond even before they even get to win anything.
I see. So what you're mentioning that My Spotlight TV is like imagine taking Netflix and YouTube. Definitely from the creator standpoint. But what about the person who's not a creator, the fan, the watcher?
The fan, yeah.
Yeah. I was just saying, I can see why we go to Netflix is because they've built over years. They started with DVDs, so that they were using premium content to build their business because these are like DVDs, movies. I didn't want to buy, but I would want to rent. As an audience, YouTube, grew in its popularity, the search engine, and you could find everything you wanted to find through that YouTube search engine. So where does the trajectory of My Spotlight TV come in? Because I could see that if you had the same sort of marketing powerhouse like a Netflix, but then you offer the creators all this back end stuff, that that could be tremendous. So at what point does like a premium content or something that's like a must-sees online viral thing happen that drives people to My Spotlight TV that introduces a general audience that are not content creators, that are not they're just fans like anybody. So I don't know what kind of discussions or plans is something so independent creators could see where you guys are going.
Well, it's really interesting. I can't talk 100% about it yet because there's something really cool in the works right now, which may just give My Spotlight all the brand recognition that it needs for end consumers to continue to find it. We obviously are continuing to ramp up on the marketing of My Spotlight. We're creating promotional videos now for My Spotlight, much like, what you see on HBO or Netflix. We're putting ad dollars into it. Creators are promoting it, and it's continuing to organically grow and be discovered online because video is so, metadata from video is like at the top of the list for Google and Bing in terms of like indexing. So My Spotlight is being indexed quite well on the search engine. So users who are looking for Netflix-esque content are discovering My Spotlight. But we will be able to talk back with you, and we probably will do another podcast in about 4 weeks, fingers crossed. But yeah, we have some pretty exciting stuff that's coming down the pipes for My Spotlight. We just can't talk about it yet until we get the 100% go ahead. But that being said, there is a lot of work being done already with My Spotlight in terms of advertising, marketing, and promotion.
Okay. And then, well, it sounds good. What would be interesting is hear where that goes. But, it's because it's coming down to, I'm sure your perspective is that there's that saying, I forget the futurist way back in the 60s or the 40s might have said something like this, but we are drowning in information but starving for wisdom. And
exactly.
Yeah, and it's sort of like the power players in the future would be somebody who's the master curator, where Netflix might be this curation, and then obviously creating original content, and Amazon as well becoming a major player in that space now too. But for just the general blowout there, trying to figure out like, what do I watch? And so they have to go to a trusted source or a trusted blogger or a trusted someone who's doing a very good job of curating that information. And so I could see that's...
Yeah, and those are the things that we're working on. You know, I think the difference also between my Spotlight and like Netflix and the rest of them is it's free. It's free for anyone to go and watch content. And if they so choose to buy a creator's film, if it's for sale, they can. If they just want to watch ad-supported content, they can. And the word-of-mouth recognition that based on the filmmakers marketing their content, it's really awesome just to see how my Spotlight organically is growing and gaining recognition. I mean, think about it. Apple TV just released in 2016, Apple TV 4. And the Apple TV, the last generation, it's in 26 million homes. They're projecting 26 million homes will have the new Apple TV 4 by the end of the year. What they did with Apple TV was revolutionary in the sense that the same way they opened up the iTunes store where app developers could deliver apps, and now there's like a sea of applications. The Apple TV, Apple TV 4 opened it up so the developers could deliver channels. So what my Spotlight did was we got in early inside of Apple TV 4 so that the channel could be discovered because people are starved. They're bored with the Netflix content. They're bored with Amazon doesn't even have an app inside of Apple TV 4 because of the wars on Apple TV with Apple.
Right.
So my Spotlight, as a little independent, has a full-blown channel inside of Apple TV 4 now and has the ability to be discovered alongside premium networks because Apple TV 4, they built this amazing search engine where everything is indexed. So if somebody searches for an actor's name or a title or a keyword, they get a bunch of recommendations. So my Spotlight's creators and all the metadata they've entered and their actors' information and their film information, that's all searchable in Apple TV, and it's going to be recommended alongside the Brad Pitts of the world and the Quentin Tarantinos of the world because all that metadata is just giving recommendations to users who are searching on Apple TV for new channels.
Yeah, I remember Steve Jobs, before he passed away, said that, cryptically, that he thought that he cracked the TV problem. And this may be the option because, like you said, it was excellently put, is, I came from the world of video games as well, so I saw a lot of money put into a massive amount of team producing video games. And then the app market came and a programmer on their weekend create a fart app and make sell 1 million copies, But
exactly.
But this opened up this huge market that never existed before, which was this app creation market. Now I was curious, does Dot Studio Pro, because I know that I'm glad you brought that up, is this something that is an add-on extra service that is, if a independent producer or creator wanted to create their own app channel for Apple TV, do you assist them in that process of creation?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they have enough content, let's put it this way. If a creator has a library of content that they think that they have, so I always say to anybody who comes to me and says, I want my own app in the iTunes store and on Apple TV and Roku and Android, I'm like, do you have 100 to 150 titles? Because that's what it takes. You need to make sure there's enough content inside of that application in order for you to have your own branded application. And then it costs money, obviously. But if you don't have that, then I work with our creators and say, these are the networks that already have apps in these places and they speak to the same demographic as you. Would you like to look at syndication deals with them beyond what you're doing on your own? That's
fantastic. So how does Dot Studio Pro, because I'm assuming that's different than the 50 cents per transaction, because if you're dealing with no,
it's the same. If a creator does a syndication deal, their syndication deal is they broker a syndication deal. It's a simple contract in platform. They do a syndication deal where they do a rev share with that network now because they wouldn't have been making that money had that network not taken their content. So they do their syndication deal, their revenue share with them, and we just are, we still just take our transaction fee. So it's you're now reaching a larger audience, so you have the ability to make more money. And you broker your revenue share with the syndication partner, and Dot Studio Pro is just in the background giving you the ability to deliver that content, and we just take our 50-cent transaction. But you have the ability to make more money now because you have more eyeballs accessing your content.
Oh, interesting. Okay. As we wrap up, because I know you got to deal with this competition thing. I wanted to know. Actually, I was just curious because my wife works for Rentrack, which is now ComScore, and the uses, the terminology of VOD. I was curious of what's your explanation of like VOD versus OTT? Because I know like in their world, the world, which is they have to deal with the metrics in a different way. So you kind of see it constantly out there in the interweb. Sometimes the terminology gets sort of bastardized or it gets sort of misplaced. So I was just curious in terms of Dot Studio Pro's perspective, the definition of VOD and things like that.
So let me break it down for you. Video on demand. Video on demand is transactional in some people's minds. So like video on demand is pay-per-view. It's not an electronic sell-through. Although some places do electronic sell-through, which is a download. Video on demand is a term used for a transactional platform. OTT is a device. Apple TV, Roku, those are OTT devices, are apps, iTunes, or iOS, Android, and then you've got smart TVs. So OTT is the actual device. Video on demand is the actual platform, transactional platform. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I've gone into this. I'm just actually out of my own curiosity. I wanted to hear what Dot Studio Pro.
Yeah,
had.
That's how we look at it. VOD is for us like a client will be like, come to us and be like, we want a VOD platform. I'm like, okay, and where do you want it to live? We want it to live on OTT and devices. Okay, so that's how we look at it. So we build a video on demand platform. Some clients come to us and they're like, we want an SVOD platform. I'm like, oh, you want a subscription on demand platform? Okay, different from VOD because VOD is pay-per-view. SVOD is paid to have access to the whole network, and AVOD is ad supported. And then all the devices, that they want, they just choose between OTT and the rest of them.
Yeah, because I know that in when they're dealing with these, clients and stuff like that, most of the times a video on demand is really based around cable. So cable providers and direct, and then everything else outside of that is mostly OTT, like you said, with the devices. So even like a SVOD on top within the OTT, they have to measure it differently because like most of the time when they're dealing with VOD, it's with cable. So Dot Studio Pro doesn't deal with anything with cable, correct?
No, we don't deal with cable. We're literally digital. We're part of the digital pipeline going back into the living room.
Okay,
so we are on browser and the rest of them.
Browser and OTT. So it's pretty much
browser, OTT devices, and we're going into smart TVs in 2017. We're also Chromecast enabled, so for Chromecast as well. But for smart TVs, that's the next step. Amazon Fire. The Amazon Fire and smart TVs are 2017 initiatives. What we did in late 2015 through 2016 has been Roku, iOS, Android, and Apple TV, and it's all controlled by one dashboard. So the same dashboard that you're pushing out microsites, syndicating, all of that, everything, including OTT devices, it's all controlled from one dashboard.
Okay. So yeah, I was just curious. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I think that's about it. I think I had much better clarity. I can be honest with you, like I didn't quite figure it out, like what like when just reading through the website or looking through it, because I couldn't tell. Like, well, wait a minute, is this just an interface that I could automatically do on my own? Like, I'll get my metrics from Amazon and so on. I could build my own website. I could throw up, my own trailer and then have all these links to places to buy it directly. I could use something like Gumroad. I could use all these different things. And I was just curious of like where the unique selling proposition was in terms of Dot Studio Pro. But now you've explained it to me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that a lot clearer than I was when I started.
Awesome. Well, if you ever need any other information or if filmmakers need to get a hold of us, info@dotstudiopro.com is an email to get a hold of us. And we thank you. This was awesome. I think the more people learn about Dot Studio Pro, the better.
Okay, we'll do. Well, good luck to you on all the work you got to do on the competition, and let us know what happens in 4 weeks if that happens. Like I said, within that time frame, if whatever the next big announcement that I hinted at, that I was scratching at, that you're like, I can't reveal it yet, but let me know.
Cool, we will. Thank you so much, Scott.
Okay, we'll do. Good luck today.
Have a great day.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye. And that concludes my interview with Phoenix Gonzalez, the COO over at .studiopro.com. And if you like this episode, think about leaving a ratings and review over at iTunes for me. Just go to filmtrooper.com/iTunes, and I'll take you to the page, and you can just leave a ratings and review. It definitely helps very much. Thank you so much. And of course, don't go away empty-handed, because if you're stuck trying to make your film right now, then I offer you a free gift over at freegearguide.com. It's a equipment list of everything I use to make a feature film for $500 with no crew. Again, that's at freegearguide.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time.
Film Trooper, filmmaking freedom for the independent.